lot about Olam Haba, going on the times of Moshiach, etc. So let's begin. Minig Yisrael, it's a custom amongst Yidden, lahagdim l'chol perek min Pirkei Avos, to preface and introduce every chapter that we learn in Pirkei Avos. We begin as Hamiras HaMishnah, saying a Mishnah which is not actually a Mishnah from Pirkei Avos. It's a Mishnah from a totally different Masechta. It's a Mishnah in chapter 8 of Masechta Sanhedrin. It says, Kol Yisrael, every Jew, Yesh Lem Chelik La'olam Haba, has a portion in the world to come. In other places, the Rebbe explains what the meaning of portion. There is something called Chelik La'olam Haba. There's a higher level Ben Olam Haba. Then there's even higher than that called Mezuman Olam Haba. We're not going to get into that now. How do we know that? It says Va'amich Kulam Tzaddikim, like it says in Yeshaya, Va'amich Kulam Tzaddikim. Your nation are entirely righteous. La'olam Yirshu Aretz. They will always, or they will forever inherit the earth. The earth is referring to Olam Haba. Neitzer Mato'ai. They are a twig of my planting, or my plantings. Maise Yodai Li'ispoyer. They are the doings of my hands to take pride in. Move on from this understood the content of the Mishnah about the reward of every single Jew in the world to come. Has a special importance and matter concerning Pirkei Avos. The very fact that we bring in studying Pirkei Avos with this Mishnah, especially it's not part of Pirkei Avos. We're taking a Mishnah from a different Masechta, we're putting it over here saying every single time you're going to learn Pirkei Avos during the summer, make sure to recite this Mishnah. That means that this is an introductory idea to what we're going to speak about in Pirkei Avos. So the Rebbe asks, we need to understand how Olam Haba hu haschar al kol ha'avodah the Torah mitzvahs l'chol prata. The world to come is a reward on all the avodas of Torah mitzvahs, to all of its details, to every detail. V'loidak avur kiyum milah de Avos, not just when fulfilling matters of Pirkei Avos. V'imkei, and we'll explain soon what is particularly the ideas that Pirkei Avos are meant to teach. Why specifically do we recite this Mishnah before Pirkei Avos? What is it about this Mishnah that's more in concert and fits in as an introduction to Pirkei Avos more than any other type of Mishnah? And the Rebbe in footnote 3 brings down something that we're going to talk about later in the Sicha, that actually Pirkei Avos has to do. It says that someone that wants to be a Hasidah, someone that wants to be pious, should study Pirkei Avos. So if he's studying Pirkei Avos to be pious, and we know that right away in the first chapter of Pirkei Avos it says that how are we supposed to serve Hashem? Not for the sake of a reward. So therefore, it also means not to have the reward of the world to come. So why are we telling us at the beginning of Pirkei Avos, every person has a part in the world to come? Seemingly a pious person, a person that is studying Pirkei Avos because he's trying to be pious, he's trying to be a chassid, he's trying to do beyond the letter of the law, is not going to be doing so because of reward. So now let's continue further inside. Ois Beis, 2 paragraphs from the bottom of the first column. Concerning the directives of Masechtas Avos, we actually find 2 extremes. Michad Gisa, on one hand, Toichna Masechta hu b'loshna Rav, The content of this Masechta in the language of Rabbi Vadia Bartanura, the classic commentary on Mishnah, is Musrim umidois, ethics and moral attributes, character traits. She'einam mitzvahs haTorah. These are not things that the Torah explicitly commanded. To such a degree are they not considered commandments of the Torah. Adar shechachmei umas ha'olam gam kin chibru, top of the second column, svarim. The sages of the nations of the world also authored different books. Shebodu malibam, that they made up from their own heart. Bedarkei amusar, in ethical ways. Kesad yisnai adam chaverai, how a person should act with his fellow. And that's why the Rav explains, it has to say, Moshe Kibbel Torah Messina at the beginning over here to teach you that these ethics and these morals and these character traits are coming from Har Sinai, from Hashem himself. And the Bartanura and other Mefarshim explain, why is there a need to be warned about all these type of things that are seemingly even the nations of the world have it, ethical teachings, character traits, and so on. So the Maral and others explain, Hu mitzad hachumrius v'shiflos ha'adam ha'alulis lavio de midas rois. By the very nature of a person, he is coarse and he is low, so therefore he can find himself entrapped within bad character traits. And therefore, we need to study Pirkei Avos to ensure that our character traits are the way it's supposed to be. But on the other hand, Chazal said, someone that wants to be pious, like we mentioned before, lekayim milid avos, he should fulfill matters of Pirkei Avos. The lessons and directive of Masechtas Avos is connected to the level of someone who is a pious individual. That serves Hashem beyond the letter of the law, like the Chazal explained, who is considered a chassid, someone that is serving Hashem beyond the letter of the law. Beis Ketzavis Elum, Matzinu Gam Limud Masechtas Avos. Not just in the content that we find two extremes. Either it's talking about a person that could be dragged into bad character traits and therefore he has to study Pirkei Avos, or it's talking about a person that his spiritual state is so elevated that he's looking for extra piety. He's looking to go beyond the letter of the law, and that's why he's learning Pirkei Avos. So now we can also talk about this idea about the fact that it was established at the time to learn it. One of the reasons why we study this Masechta in the Shabbos in between Pesach and Shavuos, because this is springtime. That's when the bodily desires awaken. It's like the animals coming out of hibernation. That's why this is an auspicious time to study this Masechta. It's filled with rebuke. It inspires a person to pursue every good character trait, as the Medrash Shmuel commentary explains. But on the other hand, who studies this? Only people that are coarse, only people that are involved in physical desires? No. Minig Yisrael, who Asher Kol Echad Mi Yisrael, the custom amongst Yidden is that every single Jew, Lemin HaKatan Shebektanim, from the most minor Jew, Ha'imid Betchilos Avidasa, who was at the beginning of a service, Va'ad HaGadol Shebekdoilim, until the greatest of the great, Ha'imid L'maylo Legamrim Taivas HaGufnis, that's totally beyond bodily desires. Loimed Pirkei Avos, Mizmanza is studying Pirkei Avos at this time. Beis Ktsavis Elum, and these two extremes. Is it talking about the most lofty people, or is it the most lofty teachings, or is it the most coarse people, or the most coarse teachings? Misbairim are explained, umisachdim lias lachodim, and they actually become joined as one. Through the preface and introduction that all Yidden have a portion to the world to come, as we will explain beginning now. Ois Gimel, top of the next page. This will be understood by first explaining the well-known explanation of this Mishnah. When it says over here, Olam Haba, the world to come, Koyal Olam Hatchiyah, it's referring to the world of the resurrection. After Moshiach comes, everybody will return into the physical body, and there will be neshamas and gufim, there will be souls and body. Sometimes when the Chazal say Olam Haba, it may refer to Gan Eden, because all it means is the world to come, something that's going to happen, or something that we're going to attain later on. So a person after 120 goes to Gan Eden, that's also called Olam Haba. But in this mission, in this context, Kol Yisrael Yesh Lam Chelik L'Olam Haba, every Jew has a portion of the world to come. It's referring to the time of Tchias HaMeisim, the time of the resurrection of the dead. This is the unique and novel idea of this Mishnah, that every Yid has a portion in the world to come. Haschar de Gan Eden, when it comes to the reward of the spiritual worlds of Gan Eden, Olam HaNeshamas, the world of souls, where the souls are not in bodies, Einena b'shava b'chol Yisrael. It's not equal by all Jews. Until there are those people, there are those Jews that do not merit Gan Eden. And the Rebbe gives an example of Elisha ben Avuya, also known as Acher, in footnote 11, that it says that it's possible that every person can have a part in Gan Eden ready for him, but if they're undeserving, the tzaddik will take their portion in Gan Eden. And Acher, Elisha ben Avuya, who was a very big student of Torah, and then he totally left Torah mitzvahs, if not for a mayor's tefillah, and then afterwards Rabbi Yochanan's tefillah, afterwards there was a whole thing about him being able to go to Gehenna. I'm not going to go down to the whole story. He wouldn't have merited Gan Eden. So we see there's an idea that there can be a person that will not make it to Gan Eden. As opposed to the world to come. That, as we said before, over here it's talking about Olam Hatchiyah, the world of the resurrection, that in this world souls will be returning in the bodies. Primarily, it's equal for all Yidden, and that's why the Mishnah says, Kol Yisrael Yishem Chelik L'Olam Haba. Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. And in footnote 13, he mentions what I said before, that there is Ben Olam Haba, which is a higher level, and Mezuman L'Chai Olam Haba, which is an even higher level than that. Okay, V'tam Adover. What's the reason for this distinction? Why in Gan Eden could there be that there should be differences amongst Yidden, and some people not even receiving the reward of Gan Eden? Whereas when it comes to Olam Haba, everybody gets Olam Haba. So the Rebbe explains, Haschar de Gan Eden, the reward of Gan Eden, top of the second column, which is the Shamas, B'li Gufim, which is souls without bodies, who be Iker, al Limrat Torah. It's primarily, it's important to emphasize when he says Be'ikr, notice when he says it doesn't mean exclusive, but it means primarily what it's meant for. It's primarily for Torah study. And Torah study is a spiritual activity. Hashayach be'ikr l'neshama, that's primarily connected with the neshama, b'koach ha'seichel sheba, shalom, one who uses their power of intellect of their neshama to study Torah. Be'ilu tchias ha'meisim, as opposed to tchias ha'meisim, hu aschar al kiyam ha'mitzvahs, it's the reward for the fulfillment of mitzvahs. Hanase b'mtzois ha'guf dafke, mitzvahs is primarily fulfilled through the body. The body is the one that does the mitzvah. V'lechein mekabelas hanashamas haschar al kach. Therefore, the neshama receives the reward for its performance of mitzvahs biyoisa biyachid maguf, when it's together with the body, when the soul is joined together with the body. Therefore, it receives the reward at that time for the mitzvahs down here. The kivin shebasagas haTorah yeshlam v'tzrichim liis chilukim beyudiach l'chaveiroi, since in the comprehension of Torah, how much I perceive, how much I understand of Torah, there are, and not only there are, but it's built in, there's supposed to be different levels of study. And the Rebbe gives an example, just like in a body, there's the head of the body and there's the foot of the body. The same thing in Torah study, there's the heads of Klal Yisrael, those are very well preoccupied with Torah study, and those that study less and are able to grasp less. From one extreme to another extreme, how much a person is the difference of levels of Torah study by Yidden. Therefore, the reward for this service, which is Gan Eden, is not given to every Jew equally. The fulfillment of mitzvahs is primarily involves action. When it comes to action, that's in the capability of every single person. It's not just they're capable of doing so, but they actually do so. Every single Jew fulfills mitzvahs. Ad k'maim razal, to the degree like the Chazal say, shafilu poishi Yisrael malei mitzvahs kariman. Even sinners amongst Yidden are filled with mitzvahs like a pomegranate. So that means in actuality, all Yidden do many mitzvahs. The kivin shavoid the mitzvahs kayamas b'cholach Yisrael, since the avoid of mitzvahs exists by every single Jew. Lefichach kol Yisrael yeshem chelek l'abad. Therefore, every Jew has a portion in the world to come. Oizdal, 2 lines from the end of the page. But we have to understand, kivin sheikar tashel maschat ubezman shel achrei. Top of the next page, since it's primarily in the time for mitzvahs is the time that's after the resurrection of the dead, that's the primary reward. Movim is that it's understood from this. It's the reward of the resurrection is higher than the reward of Gan Eden, because it's building up. It's like Mailim B'Kodesh. First, the neshama after 120 goes to Gan Eden. Then there could be like neshamas of Moshe and the Avos that have been thousands of years in Gan Eden. Finally, they're getting to Tchias HaMesim. So Tchias HaMesim must be a higher reward than what they get in Gan Eden. How does this fit in? But what we said before, the Gan Eden is the reward on a higher type of service, which is the comprehension of the Torah, which is so high that's not the same in every Jew. As opposed to the reward of the resurrection of the dead is for doing mitzvahs. Seems to be a much more ordinary, a much more simple avodah that's to be found for this reason in every Jew. We're saying that when it comes to Torah study, there's great sages and great geniuses and so on. When it comes to mitzvahs, everybody can do it. So it seems to indicate that the what would be the reward of Torah should be much higher than the reward for mitzvahs. And yet, what do we say? The reward of Torah is to be found in Gan Eden, which is surpassed by the reward of Tchias HaMesim, which is mitzvahs that seemingly every person is applicable to this seemingly ordinary and regular and simple service. So the Rebbe says in the second paragraph, Abir Bezad explanation, this is though externally that the reason that all Jews are the same in action is because the power of action is the lowest of all the soul powers. How come? It doesn't involve much investment. Anybody can do it. It's just, move your hands, move your feet. You did a mitzvah. To perform a mitzvah does not necessitate a feeling of the heart and not understanding comprehension of the brain. So seemingly it doesn't involve much. And that's why everybody can do it and everybody's responsible. Yet, even though externally it may seem lower, the inner reason for the fact that it's equal by all Yidden, not because of how low and how simple it is, but rather it's because the advantage in the action, the greater quality that's to be found in action over brain and heart. Like the expression in the Mishnah, Hamaisa action is primary. And that's why it's much more important, as we're soon going to explain, about this idea, the way it fits into the entire purpose of the creation. The inner intention of above is that the Jewish people should make a home for Hashem below, down here below, in this low world, that there's nothing, no world and no level lower than it. Ukemaimer, like we say in Shabbos davening, Soif Ma'aser Machshavat Chila, the end of the action, meaning Hashem created multiple levels and multiple worlds. That was Machshavat Chila. The end of the action, which is this lowest world, that was his initial thought. I want to have a low world in which Yidden should make over there a home. A home down here below in the physicality of the world, when it comes to Torah, it's not so much done through Torah. It's mitzvahs primarily doing it, because the mitzvahs is dealing with a physical thing. It's dealing with physical objects. It's dealing with the physical body. It's dealing more with the nefesh habahamis than Torah is. Because through mitzvahs, as opposed to Torah, there becomes a refinement and a purification of the body and the worldly matters, the objects that he's using in the mitzvah, like explained in Tanya at length. Since every single Jewish person is like the Pasuk says, that our Mishnah, the Kol Yisrael Mishnah, brought a proof that he's a twig of my planting. He's the actions of my hands. Whose twig? Whose actions? Of Hashem. Chosh kol echad miYisrael kavanazu. Every Jew, whether he's aware or not aware, he senses this intention. It resonates deep within him. Top of the second column, and he fulfills it in actuality, and that's why Kol Yisrael Yeshlam. That's why that all Yidden are filled with mitzvahs like a pomegranate. Omnam big Yiluyim Yeshlam Chilukim BeYehudi L'Chaveidah. When it comes to the revealed soul powers, the intellect, the emotions, over there's distinctions. Some understand more Torah, some understand less. Some have greater emotional connection to Hashem, some have less. It's even possible a type of Jew that's not even a receptacle for these type of revelations, whether intellect or emotions. Everything that matters in the intention of Hashem's essence, which is to make for Hashem a home down there below, which is sensed. Again, he's not aware of it because it's deep inside of him, but it's sensed in the very essence of a Jewish person. In Kol Yisrael Shavim, in this regard, all Jews are equal. and therefore, so he says, "Nois hey v'zeu gam atam lakach." This is also the reason for the fact that tashlum aschar b'olam haba u'leneshamas begufim dafke. Why is the reward for the nesham why is the reward in the world to come, specifically in the shamas and bodies? Since the supernal intention was to make for Hashem a home down below, the matter mirrors itself also in the Jewish people. Since they are one entity with Hashem in truth, part of Hashem above. Because Hashem's choice in the Jewish people, it's not just that Hashem chose the neshama of a yid. Elagam begufam, Hashem also chose the body of a yid. So it's the bodily connection and the bodily obligations to Hashem, which is the mitzvahs. That's why the body of a Jew, because of Hashem's choice in a Jew's body, he has this connection with the body of a Jew. It's an everlasting existence that never ceases, is never lost. Okay, as it's known, there is the luz bone that is never destroyed by a Jew. From the luz bone, the entire body is built up by the resurrection of the dead. But this everlasting nature of the body, nothing in the world is everlasting. How is it possible that a Jew has this everlasting nature? It's because Hashem's choice in the body of a Jew. Last paragraph on the page. Therefore, when it will be fulfilled, the service of the refinement and purification of the world, and the world will become transformed to a home for the Eibishter. So also by the Jewish people, it will be recognized in a revealed way, not just that subconsciously they sense it, but it will be revealed. That the choice of Hashem is gam begufam, also in their body. Therefore, the everlasting life of the world to come is also in the body. So now this is going to be understood back to the original questions that we asked about this Mishnah being an introduction to Pirkei Avos. According to this will be understood the reason for the introduction of this Mishnah, Kol Yisrael, to the study of Masechtas Avos. Kedei lahoyros ulahadgish, to teach and to emphasize Shakiyum va'limud Masechtas Avos, the fulfillment and the study of Masechtas Avos, Hamevil de birur v'zichuch the chumris haguf, that brings to the refinement and purification of the materialism, of the coarseness of the body. Negea l'cholechad miYisrael, it matters to every single yid. One would think that it only matters for coarse people that need to work on their character traits, but more refined people, holier people that don't suffer from these type of character traits that need to be worked on, perhaps they do not have to study Pirkei Avos. For that, we read the introductory Mishnah that the Chazal told us to study. So how do we know that's Negel l'cholech Yisrael Magdimim? We preface it, Asher Kol Yisrael Yeshlem Chelek L'Olam Haba. Every Jew has a portion to the world to come. Olam Atchiyah, the world of the resurrection. Neshamas begufim, souls embedded in bodies. Ki gam haguf techol Yisrael hu ma'aseh yodai. Also, the body of every Jew is the actions of his hand. The emphasis is on the actions. Adra b'dafke b'ma'aseh yodai. Specifically in the actions kaviyachol of Hashem's hand, meaning in the most physical and the most lowest. Yeshna inyan the least poor. Over there is what Hashem takes pride in. Because specifically, like we mentioned before, at the end of the action, the lowest of the worlds, in the body of the Jew, that was first in Hashem's thought, that's primary, that's higher than all the levels. Therefore, no Jew can excuse themselves from it, not to fulfill matters of Pirkei Avos, and in both extremes. What does it mean in both extremes? He says, top of the second column, on the one hand, there is no person, there is no Jewish body that cannot become refined. How come? We see some people that made look very coarse to us, very low. Since the body of every single Jew is the actions of the hands of Hashem. Therefore, it's impossible to say that they will not become refined. They must become refined. Even more so. Since he was made by the hands of Hashem, surely no Jew will be pushed away completely. Eventually, he will become refined, even though at the moment it doesn't look like he became refined. On the other hand, you can't say that this avoida is too low for any Jew, that there's tzaddikim that they don't need this. Even just the opposite. Matters of piety in their truth sense, piety doesn't mean climbing up on a mountain, separating yourself from people. It's being in the physicality of the body that you're refining, and that's where the piety comes about. Specifically in the actions of my hands. There's the idea that Hashem prides himself. This is his enjoyment, this is his pleasure, this is what his taiva was, as we know, his desire, v'kanal, like we said before, shesoif ma'isa machshavat chila, that the end of his action came about initially in his thought in the highest, most levels.